Cynthia's resume, the first thing I wonder is what kind of job does she really want? Does she want a sales operations manager job or a vendor manager job or an implementation supervisor role? I wasn't sure. I also don't have any profile paragraph to read that tells me more about who she is and how she functions with teams or leads people or collaborates. I have no idea about her. So looking at her bullets, and we're just going to get into that right away. She talks about bulk implementation management, generating activity reports, navigating teams through changing business environments, order entry effectiveness. She plays an integral role in standing up and staffing a call center, proven track record of ability to influence performance changes and move the needle. And I found myself going, what? What is she really doing here? And what we're looking at is really a list of responsibilities. And I see that all the time on resumes, a list of responsibilities. So think of it this way. Anyone can list the responsibilities that they're supposed to be doing in their job on a resume, but not everyone can show their true impact by writing star statements, which are achievement bullets that include results. So, looking at this resume, I knew I had a lot of work to do. So I spent at least an hour on the phone with Cynthia. Sometimes I do more than one call to discuss the resume and make sure I have all the information I need about that client. And this is the after resume. So, what I've done here is taken the resume she had and rebuilt it and added a lot of information and took away stuff that wasn't as relevant. So let's start with the first line that you need to tailor to a job description. That is the title line right underneath your contact information, where it says for Cynthia, Senior Director of Customer Service. She was very focused in on that one role. Now, when you have a job description, that title line is always the job title, no matter what. That's all it should be. That is because job titles are always keyword searchable, always, always, always. So you're kind of taking care of killing two birds with one stone. I hate that expression, but that's what you're doing. So not only are you informing the reader what you really are interested in, you're also capturing keywords from the job description, just listing the title. So always have a title line on your resume. If you do not have a job description in front of you and you're sending your resume to a colleague to put it out there, or you're sending it to a recruiter who doesn't actually have a job right now, but they want to see your resume, then that title line should be a list of the typical role titles you're interested in. So in Cynthia's case, maybe it would be VP of customer service. Maybe it would be senior manager, depending on the company. Maybe she would go for a senior manager role of the customer experience or something like that. So only use one line. The title line should only be one line. So you have to make the call on which typical job titles you're really interested in. But when you have the job description, the title line is the job title. Then I wrote a compelling profile paragraph for Cynthia, really trying to capture the best about her, listing that she's got over 15 years of experience. She actually has 25, but ageism is alive and well, so we went with 15 plus. And I tried to capture the key areas that she is really exceptional at. And what matters most to her is the customer experience. So we talked about extraordinary customer experiences. That was her word. I also talk about her team stuff because that was not evident earlier in the other resume. She actually inspires cross-functional teams to engage and align on these huge projects. And then I developed her key strengths. So first I do the key strengths based on the conversation with the client and understanding what you're really, really good at, what your key competencies are. And I call them key strengths to remind the client that that's where keywords go once you're doing keyword tailoring to a job description. So we start with your best first in the profile paragraph and in the key strengths. And then from there, we do the keyword tailoring. So before I go to professional experience, let's talk about that. When you're looking at a job description, it's your dream job. You can't wait to apply. First, you tailor the title line to the job title. Then you go to the key strengths and you plug and play key strengths from that job description into your key strengths, or keywords from the job description into your key strengths. So maybe the job description you're looking at, instead of inclusive team leadership, it just says cross-functional team collaboration. So you replace inclusive team leadership with that. Or perhaps instead of collaborative problem solving, it talks about analytical problem solving. So you replace that with that. Then you go to key strengths that you have that are not reflected on the job description, and you plug and play other keywords from the JD. You're playing the algorithm game. You're just trying to get past the algorithm and the AT, which is in the applicant tracking system, the ATS. From there, once you run out of key strengths to plug in, then you go to the paragraph above and do the same thing. Replace your words with their words. This is how you create relevancy and get through the ATS. So my biggest tip of the year is only keyword tailor your resume above professional experience. Do not make it a hassle for you every time to have to spend hours or even days keyword tailoring your resume. Only do it above professional experience. Okay, so from here, let's go to professional experience. As you can see, this format is simple and it works in ATS systems. So first you have the company name, the location, and the timeline. Then you have the title that you had. And then I always write a very brief 1 to 2 line responsibilities statement. And that's always in italics to separate the achievement bullets from responsibilities. Then each bullet should be an achievement with results attached. If you don't have results to speak of for a resume achievement bullet, it's not an achievement. So you have to have results, either quantitative or qualitative results. And we'll get more into that in our stars as we're developing those. So as you can see, I've got results that include quantitative results, but I've also got results that are more qualitative in nature, where you don't have a number to assign to it. So for instance, the third bullet down, collaborated with technical engineers and more fully integrated the customer experience into back-end processes. That's the result. Fully integrated the customer experience into back-end processes. So you can have both. You can have both in one bullet. You can have either or. All right. So that just gives you an idea of what kind of format works. And that brings us to developing our stars: situation, task, action, result. So stars are really important in that it helps you to show your impact over your activity or responsibilities. It makes your achievements much more concrete and credible, and improves your ATS keyword tailoring. And it's just easier to scan when you've got star bullets. And you'll see why in just a moment. So in terms of stars, by the way, you might have heard them called SARs, S-A-R, or CARs, C-A-R. I just think of them as achievement bullets written in a very specific way. So the STAR stands for situation, task, action, result. So the situation and task is kind of all at the very beginning phrase of the resume, usually of this achievement bullet. So in the situation and task, you're explaining your role, what was the challenge or issue you were facing, and be sure to include anything particular, unique, or difficult about that situation. Perhaps the sales team didn't want to change to a new IT, to a new sales process that was going to be brand new software and such. So they were resistant. So always clarify that if it was really difficult or unique or unusual. So that's what you're doing in the ST. And you're starting with action verbs. Always, always, always. Directed, led, analyzed, recruited, developed, etc. And then your action is what you specifically did. Just make sure you're clarifying what steps you took to resolve this. So are you leading, or did you co-lead something? Did you guide a collaboration between different teams? Did you analyze something in a spreadsheet and come up with a trend that changed the company direction? And then your result is measurable impact or outcome. So Metrics are great, but not always can you get metrics. So qualitative results matter too. And I mentioned that earlier. All right, so here's a couple of examples of a before bullet and an after bullet. I have to move things around here. Here's the bullet before I before I dealt with it. Managed vendor contracts for multiple locations. That's a responsibility statement, right? Until you say, so what? So you say here you manage vendor contracts across these locations. So how did that impact the organization? And I ask the right questions and keep asking because so many people don't understand their value and don't understand how to bring it into an achievement bullet. So this is what we ended up with. Overhauled, this is what she actually did, overhauled a multi-site vendor contract process, negotiating new SLAs and automating renewals, reducing annual spend by 18% and cutting approval time from 10 days to 3. She actually didn't think she had a percentage. She didn't have anything in writing to show the percentage, but talking through it with her, she said, "Yeah, I think 20% is too high, but I can really back up 18% in terms of reducing annual spend." So if you can guesstimate a percentage, as long as you're being honest about it, that's what matters. Okay, let's take a look at this other before statement. I handled client reporting, scheduling weekly status calls, blah, blah, blah. It's a lot involved in this one bullet. It's basically a list of a whole bunch of responsibilities. So after talking with her and asking her all these open-ended questions, we came to centralized enterprise client reporting and communication, creating standard weekly dashboards and cross-team escalation workflows. And the actual result is cutting average issue resolution time from 14 days to 4. We could have used a percentage there instead if we wanted, but that works. If she didn't have the data for the 14 days to 4, we would say reducing average resolution time significantly if you don't actually have the metrics. Okay, and here's a few more before and after samples. This one is for more of a qualitative answer. So, assisted with employee relations and conflict resolution is where we started. That's the bullet I had. So I said, so what does that really mean? You got to give me more information about this. Tell me why it mattered. And we ended up with led confidential employee relations investigations and improved conflict resolution protocols, fostering greater trust between HR and staff, and reducing repeat issues through consistent, transparent communication. Now, I probably would want to work on this more and get less of the words, shorten it a bit. But that is so much better than assisted with employee relations and conflict resolution. Do you see how we go with a responsibility? We start with something that's kind of vague and you make it something powerful. And
Lisa,
then, yes.
you have 3 minutes.
Oh,
And
shoot.
for those of you who are asking questions, I would want you to ask those questions during the live breakout sessions, please.
Okay, I'm going to move on to leveraging AI tools. This will be quick and dirty. Resume optimization, job matching, and interview preparation, and managing your job search process. You can use AI tools for all of that. And I have to admit, I was AI resistant. I didn't think any program could write a resume like Lisa Carmen writes a resume. And I was actually shooting myself in the foot and not giving myself what I needed to be more efficient, to elevate the quality of what I'm producing. So don't just tip your toes in the water like I did. Jump in with both feet. The biggest thing about AI is give it as much information as you can give it and be very specific in what you want it to do. Tell it to extreme detail what you want it to produce for you. For resume writing, and I use ChatGPT a lot to help me up level what I produce. ChatGPT is fantastic and it knows my voice at this point. Claude is another really great resume and LinkedIn content writing tool. Claude, Claude. And Rezi is another one, Rezi. And oh my gosh, Google's Gemini is getting so good. In fact, OpenAI, who produced ChatGPT, who builds that, gave all of their employees a letter recently that said, all other side projects are being down. We're not going to mess with those right now because Google Gemini is catching up with us. So this is where we all have to dig in and really work to make our Chat GPT even better and more useful to people and more personalized and more human. So those are all really good tools for you to experiment with. So here's an example of me using AI to write a resume achievement bullet. I just started typing. This is what the client told me. The company needed to implement. This person was responsible for an ERP project. I modeled open communication, et cetera, et cetera. And my prompts for this was summarize all this word soup into an achievement bullet. So this is what we got. Successfully led a 2-year ERP project, delivering on time and within budget, da da da. But it's not following my star because the actual results are in the middle of the bullet. So I said, okay, place the results at the end of the bullet. So it did that for me. So that's an example of using AI. JobScan is another great tool, but it can get expensive. I think the limitation is 5 scans a month, or you have to upgrade and pay $20 or $30 a month for the upgraded version to get past the paywall. But JobScan gave me this information about sales ops and enablement job description and resume that I put in. The match was only 44%, which told me I have work to do on this. In particular, hard skills and soft skills needed to be added to make sure I'm meeting the keywords in the job description. And here's another result it gave me. The job title, VP Sales Ops and Enablement from the job description was not found. So don't forget to add that job title in the title line. What we had was Vice President of Sales Operations, but that must be exact to what's on the job description.
We are at time. Just want to be mindful.
Thank you. That's perfect. Here's a bunch of AI tools. You've got this in your workbook. I put these together and did my research and played with all of them and just let you know what they give you. I also am providing, and I'm not sure how we're getting it to you, but I've also provided Adrian with a AI tools for job seekers handout that has pros and
Yes.
cons for each one and AI prompts for job seekers, 2 different handouts.
I can put those in the chat and then send those out as a recap email as well.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Awesome. Lisa, thank you. I know that I learn something every time that I hear you speak and that you and I have done a lot of work together. Thank you so much for
You're
your
very welcome.
we're going to have Lizelle come on now and talk about LinkedIn and some really cool campaigns and multi-channel. I'm going to talk about multi-channel strategies after lunch. But Lizelle, please go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me clearly? Yes, awesome. So I'll share my screen. Okay. Can you see my screen clearly? Yes, awesome. So thank you, Charlie, and the team at Best You Career Connector. So I love the openness and energy of everyone. So it's keeping me awake, even it's 12 midnight here in Chiang Mai, Thailand. So I co-founded OptiRight. It's a content solutions company. It's registered in the United States and the Philippines. And we have been supporting clients across North America, Australia, and Asia. So the strategies I will share have been refined through practice and built from years of experience of helping over 1,000 global job seekers and business leaders. So our particular strength at OptiRight is helping professionals with hybrid experience or squiggly careers and senior executives who are job hunting on stealth mode and those who want to pivot to new industries. So title of my talk is Hunt Your Own Head because of course no one is more invested in ourselves than we. And our goal is approaching our careers with an entrepreneurial mindset. So we have to identify opportunities, we build networks, and we craft strategies to position ourselves for growth. So our platform is LinkedIn. And when applying the strategies, I consider the goals of a modern job hunter. So you can be an active job applicant. You want to stand out. right? Or you can be a stealth job hunter. You want to balance discretion with the need to showcase your value. Or you are a forward planner. You want to stay visible and ready for opportunities. But no matter which category you fall into, the key is learning how to position yourself effectively to attract the opportunities you want. So I'll proceed with tips on how to optimize your profile. So first is to make the use of LinkedIn's AI tools so it becomes your researcher, proofreader, or editor. So what do I mean by that? So there is this prized real estate space on LinkedIn. So we're talking about your headline, that space below your name, and then your about section, and your experience section. So those are three critical sections on LinkedIn. So I have included in your workbook some examples of how you can highlight your USP and your functions and roles. Okay, so when you are writing your experience section, please consider your non-disclosure agreements with publishing metrics, especially if you're still employed, right? So there. Now, I am going to share with you something that we should remember because context is everything. A while ago, Lisa already shared some examples of how we can show achievements in what we have been doing. So roughly, this would describe complexities or the scale of what we do, quantify the impact of what we have done, and end with what's next. Because a public relations manager might say, yes, I handle media relations and press releases. But if you are supporting the legacy building of a Fortune 500 CEO, then that simple line misses the mark or the real scope. And I am sharing with you a crazy, crazy formula, but this is tried and tested, and we call it TOPAC. Okay, so in Filipino, TOPAC means crazy. So T stands for target, or what would be your target roles or functions? What kind of companies do you want to help? O is offer. What is your offer in terms of expertise? P is promise. Or if you already have metrics to show, then yes, why not show it on your headline? A is for authority. Why should I believe you as a candidate? What would be your designation? And K stands for keywords, or if there are any keywords that you want to emphasize. So if a recruiter will view your headline in 6 seconds, make sure that this target, offer, promise, authority keywords would be very visible. And how do we use this as an example? So here, this professional, she wears 2 hats, and this is how her headline is optimized to showcase her unique position as a leader of 2 organizations and also her offer, right? So there is another example here. So we are showing offer and authority. There's another example here, which shows also what would be the target roles that he would like to take on, because he wants to target some consulting roles. And this would be his expertise: AI governance, data privacy, and cybersecurity. But of course, because he has won several awards and earned these credentials, you would like to show this also on your LinkedIn. Now, here is an example of how you can align your LinkedIn headline with your target and your offer and keywords. Look, science, environmental. So the LinkedIn headline is very well strategized so that it would also bump up the algorithm in LinkedIn. And in the about section, it doesn't feel like AI, right? Because it also talks about his story. Why is he committed to this type? What is his approach? And also, he mentioned here what are some of the positions that he's interested in. So he is not just for the academy, but he can also do environmental due diligence for startups. Yes. All right. So next tip would be ensuring that your top skills are listed, prioritized, and supported by relevant job experience, education, and endorsements. So many times we forget to update the skill section. So make sure that the top 3 or top 5 that you would like to highlight are really strategic for you. Right now, how how do you reflect if you are still learning or still honing these skills? So you can mention it in your about section that you are currently expanding your expertise in, or you can also share your progress alternatively through your posts. Next. So recommendations, make sure that it is current. So you would just have to get recommendations, collect them from people who directly see your performance, and time it around natural transitions. What if you finished your project, your boss before he leaves the company, etc. So time it around natural transitions so that it will be easy for you to also get these recommendations. Okay. Next, curate the links on your featured section. So there is a featured section on LinkedIn where you can pin the posts or articles that you would like to showcase. Showcase your links to your portfolio website, and also if you were featured in any media, PR, you were interviewed, and these are your awards, it gives a different dimension to your profile. So it's not just like one-dimensional, right? So next, this is very important, to reverse engineer your job search. So start by identifying the companies that you admire, your dream employers. So build a list, dig into their LinkedIn presence, look at their recent hires. Yes, we're going to do that too. Employee profiles and company updates. This will give you an insight into their priorities, culture, and potential gaps. So LinkedIn groups, you might notice there's activity is low, but you can still initiate conversations with members, and it will help boost your chances of being noticed by recruiters. So pay attention also to that function, which mentions like people also viewed. So this feature can open a gold mine of possibilities. So you can see other professionals, other companies, or opportunities that you may not have thought of. Next, this is a very good tip. So we call it cheerleading. So engage the posts of your target contacts indirectly before direct messaging. So to avoid coming across as spammy, so you can start by liking or thoughtfully commenting on their post before sending a connection or reconnection message. This will make your name familiar and to them and build rapport. So here, feel free to screenshot because this is a very nice template on how you can approach your existing contacts and reconnect, right? So memory, because you want to capture that shared history that you have, and bridge is to connect past experience to future opportunities. It doesn't feel transactional if you do this. Another sample template is this one. So feel free to screen capture it. Yes. And then this is another one, value bridge approach for cold outreach. What if you don't know them? You just want to connect with them because they can be your potential employee or gatekeepers, right? So you demonstrate value and genuine connection rather than an immediate ask. So the metaphor of the bridge, of course, is fitting because you create a pathway between your expertise and the needs before asking them to cross it. So this is an example of how you can do this. I'm not sharing this without any proof because what I will share with you is an existing case study of how we have helped a global CMO do a discrete high impact career transition. So on your screen, you can see that this CMO, he has 20 years of experience in the FMCG sector. He faced an important decision because he was in track for promotion in North America, but he wanted to continue his career trajectory in Asia. So we optimized his profile in March 2023. Then in April to July, we did both content and networking efforts, LinkedIn outreach. June 2023, immediately so he received a job offer as the global VP of a marketing operations in a top spirits company. So in August to September, we still continued with the content posting, and we still we ran a campaign to selected recruiters and head of companies and their HRs. So July 2023, roughly a few months after, he was considered for senior roles in two companies, leading alcoholic beverage brand and a major soft drink and snack company. And then in October 2023, he was accepted as the global CMO for the largest Korean food company. So we were able to help him with his goal of remaining in Asia and really getting the job that he wanted. So, how did we do that exactly? So this is how we ran the outreach. So we targeted second degree connections. These are the designations. The location is of course Asia and APAC. So we sent invites to 20 from the list per week. So he gave us a list of the companies that he wanted, and found the decision makers and also similar companies with that with those credentials. We achieved a 50% connection rate, which is high because usually on LinkedIn, for cold outreach, it's just 30%, right? And then we also did cheerleading. So we selected 20 current contacts of his to send birthday and congratulatory messages, and it just helped keep goodwill, and keep his profile top of mind. So what happened there? This is an example of the actual outreach. So it's not spammy. It's just more like reconnecting and also saying something in addition to just sending his resume. Right? So they're also personalizing it. So we work together with the client to personalize it. Now, in terms of content, of course, it's not just outreach, but also content. So there are 3 content pillars in this particular campaign. It's making the new connections relate to his personal story, to educate because of his expertise, and also third is to appreciate because LinkedIn is a social media platform. It's a professional social platform. So we use it to tag peers, mentors, organizations, and do actual cheerleading. Now, these are examples of the posts that we ran. So it's not just more of his thought leadership, but on the third photo, he and his family went to a vacation in Bali, and he captured a very nice example, a best practice of how they turned the coconuts into color pink, and then he shared his insights from there. So we also tagged the resort. It was also reshared. This post was also reshared because it was so nice. Like it was also goodwill for the company from a marketing executive. Now, the impressions here are quite average for a post. It cannot be equated as viral. However, these are very doable. Posts on the left are taken from a conference he attended, and then he shared the speaker's takeaways while also tagging them. So just imagine if you share and also tag, then that becomes also something that can be shareable by the speakers themselves. And on the right is a very nice throwback photo. So it's like a throwback Thursday photo, right? And then tagging everyone, thanking them. It's very more like a thank you post with insights, of course. Now, these are the results of the campaign, right? So there are opportunities here: VP Marketing Operations, Regional CMO opportunity, etc. And of course, the message that became his success story. Right? So these are also, this is one of his posts that really created like 23,496 impressions. Right? So it's just one post, and then that really captured everything. And it's not just when he got the job, of course, when he got the post, it doesn't end there. So he continued the momentum, and he really still continued to share and build presence, build his executive presence, because of course he has he still wants to be prepared for any opportunities afterwards. So
Lizelle, you have 3
yeah,
minutes.
I'm done.
Okay.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're ahead of
Thank
schedule.
you.
I've been sending private notes to several of you. Um, Galen, please look at your private message, and Kiara as well. Christina, I'll get back with you in just a second. Um, the reason that I chose Lizelle and Lisa, especially with these bleeding edge topics, is because when you are more centered and don't use just AI and have star metrics focused resumes and LinkedIn that is optimized and doing what Lizelle showed is actually something we'll talk about in strategizing, how to leverage